both with approved credit.
Third, we have second chance financing if you need someone to give you a second chance.
And don't forget the Kessler's warranty.
The strongest warranty of any jewelry store in the world.
For the location of the Kesslers nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
When you breathe well, you live better. Find out more at AdventNose.com.
The Bucks aren't here to joke around with the Nuggets.
Giannis has it, crossing over on Jokic into a swarm of defenders and lays it in with the right hand anyway, just slashing his way to the cup.
Our coverage of the game starts tonight at 6 with Bucks Shoot Around. We are your home for the Milwaukee Bucks. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 11 o'clock, I'm Greg Matzik. This is Wisconsin's Midday News for Thursday, February 27th. Your top story, frustration that officers are not in MPS buildings.
I'm Adam Roberts in for Jessica Ty. Tariffs are on track.
Chance for an isolated shower today, mostly cloudy and breezy, and a high of 43 degrees. Cloudy tonight and a low of 53, up to 52 under cloudy skies for your high on Friday. It's 41 and mostly cloudy in Milwaukee at 11:01 from the WTMJ Breaking Newsroom. Frustration by the court over a lack of school resource officers in public school buildings in Milwaukee. Judge David Borowski commenting on how MPS has complied with its orders to date.
The board had a meeting, they had an emergency meeting, they authorized the funds. Ms. Kohlberg, brought the president of the school board, which I appreciate her bringing and following through with the court's order. I don't know what else MPS could do. As Ms. Kohlberg has argued, they don't have police officers.
Meanwhile, the judge indicated further frustration at the city of Milwaukee for non-compliance.
It takes a lot of gall for the city and MPD to say, under a court order, facing contempt, facing sanctions, facing fines, well, we're going to post the job, and we're going to look for volunteers. And then not only do you post the job, you put a deadline that's 4 or 5 days after the court-imposed deadline.
And that hearing continues. We'll have updates throughout the day here on WTMJ. Meanwhile, Judge Borowski has ordered the 25 SROs back in schools today or face contempt.
Much of today's hearing revolves around a motion filed by the city of Milwaukee Wednesday seeking to delay Judge Borowski's order without officers first completing the required training. But State Representative Bob Donovan tells WTMJ that the request is ridiculous.
A year ago, Chief Norman told me MPD is ready to go with their officers in the schools. So what about that? And I'll say another thing regarding the training. These training programs go on a regular basis throughout the year. They should have gotten these officers into that training before.
Milwaukee Public Schools has not been in compliance with placing SROs in schools since January of 2024.
A man is dead after a camper fire in Kenosha. Fire officials responding to 14th Avenue where flames fully engulfed a camper trailer and extended to a house. Everyone in the home was evacuated. Kenosha fire officials are not releasing the name of the deceased man.
Happening today in Washington, President Trump following through on tariff threats and more.
The president's confirmed those 25% tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico will take effect next Tuesday. He's doubled the 10% tariff on all goods from China. This as he's also threatening 25% tariffs on goods from the EU. Mexico's president says she hopes she can talk to Trump. EU leaders are warning they'll impose tit-for-tat tariffs if the president makes good on his threat. Vicki Barker, CBS News.
An estimated $2 billion worth of cuts that were just announced at the Department of Veterans Affairs have now been put on hold. CBS's Charlie DeGatta has the response from the VA.
We have this statement. I'm going to read it here, attributable to a VA spokesman. We're reviewing VA's various contracts. We will be canceling many, focusing on non-mission critical things like PowerPoint slides, executive support, and coaching. And there will be no negative impact to VA health, benefits, or beneficiaries. We are always going to take care of our vets at the VA, period.
Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up about 205 points today at 43,638. NASDAQ is off about 150 today at 18,921. Back into the 18,000s for the NASDAQ. And the S&P 500 off about 15 points at 5942. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. It's financial planning at every level. For details, visit AnnexWealth.com.
Sports, traffic, and weather on the way next. Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 11:04.
If you want to add a unique and stunning feature to your home, decorative art glass can be used in a variety of ways to really increase its wow factor. Think of adding a wonderful work of stained glass art to some of your exterior windows, foyer, or front door entry. We can make sure the measurements fit spot on, and you don't even have to replace the glass. You can just add the art glass over the top. It will add some real ambiance that changes as the sun moves throughout the day. And a paint of protection too, which never hurts. Our decorative glass artists are delightful to work with, and they just might give you some ideas that you love, but never even thought of. There's so much of the same out there. Adding a customized work of stained glass art to one or more of your home's windows can really set it apart. This is Stacy Sinks with Les's Glass Service. If it's a new glass shower door, fogged or broken insulated glass replacement, or affordable glass and mirror home decor that you've been looking for, you just can't pass on Les's Glass. Les's Glass Service, serving all of southeastern Wisconsin. Find us at lesglassservice.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Time for WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Cactus League play continues for the Brewers this afternoon against the Royals. Had a great start to the Cactus League season for Brewers infielder Vinny Capra.
3 hits, 3 homers. So far, Vinny Capra has had the hottest start of anybody in the Cactus League. Acting manager Ricky Weeks Jr. says this is all a bonus.
He's having a hell of a spring right now. He's seeing the ball well, obviously. Anytime you can drive the ball consistently, it's always good. That's not what we kind of want him to do, but that's just an added plus.
Capra's situation is difficult. He has to make the team outright, as the Brewers would risk losing him to the waiver wire.
You just seems differently this year. And on top of that, trying to make a team and trying to impress. Him being looser, I think it plays a big part as well.
From American Family Fields of Phoenix, I'm Dominic Cotroneo.
The Bucs are on the home floor tonight, taking on the Denver Nuggets. Coverage begins following the 6 o'clock news on WTMJ, and it's affectionately known as the Underwear Olympics. The annual scouting combine of the NFL, on-field activities beginning today. It's where they poke you, they prod you, they do your vertical leap. Everybody's out on the field.
Lots of fun.
Yeah.
All right, pivoting to the roads now. Your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. And the good news there is that the system right now is looking about as good as you could ask for. We did have some earlier lane debris on 94 East near Barker Road. That has been taken care of. They were expecting some closures, but everything looks free and clear. Your drive time's also good so far this morning.
Might see some rain throughout the course of the day today, otherwise mostly cloudy and breezy with a high of 43. Winds are going to be gusty up to 25 miles an hour. Cloudy tonight, a low of 30. Tomorrow we get into the low 50s. You might see some pops of sun. It'll be mild and breezy again. Saturday's high just 29. Sunday 34. Monday back into the 40s. It's currently 38 degrees and partly cloudy in Milwaukee at 11:09.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios in downtown Milwaukee, it's Wisconsin's Midday News, making stories come to life. Now, here are your hosts, Greg Matzek, and in for Jessica Ty, it's Adam Roberts.
Yeah, the Underwear Olympics, is that a new term for you, Adam?
Well, I mean, I've heard it before from my previous work in sports radio, but I was totally focused on another story, and I just heard Underwear Olympics out of your mouth, and it took a second for me to register.
Yeah, so it's the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis, and the reason they call it the Underwear Olympics is because you're standing in a pair of shorts and getting your body fat tested, height, weight, all that kind of stuff, and then eventually you get to the point where you're doing stuff on the field. That's where they're at today, and it's where Packers GM Brian Gutekunst is located. So you've got GMs and front office personnel from around the league gathered in Indianapolis this week. Probably a lot of steaks being served at St. Elmo's, too, I would imagine.
Probably. Also, good thing the general managers don't also have to be in their underwear for the media availability.
Very good point. It's 11:10 on WTMJ. Some big stories that we're following here this morning.
And now it's time for 3 Big Things on Wisconsin's Midday News.
Number 1, Milwaukee Public Schools and the City of Milwaukee back in court today. The hearing is ongoing 10 days after Judge David Borowski gave both the district and a city a deadline of today to add 25 school resource officers. The city filed a last-minute motion to be relieved of that deadline, citing a need for state-required officer training and the fact that MPS has not signed the funding agreement. Both the city and the district are on the hook for about half the cost. In court this morning, County Judge David Borowski holding little back toward representatives of the city.
I presume then we'll take 2, 3, 4 weeks to screen the officers, and then all of a sudden it'll be April 1st, and then the city's going to tell me, now we can't do anything because we need the National Association for School Resource Officers to train them, which means I'll be sitting here, if I go along with that position, which I'm not inclined to do, I'll hear argument. We'll be sitting here in June or July.
Yeah, meanwhile, MPS is saying, look, we're fine here. We're in compliance. We are good to go. We have done what you've asked us to do. It's the city holding this whole thing back. Meanwhile, MPD does have a job posting for SROs. They're accepting applications through March 3rd. And while Jeffrey Norman thought his current crop of police officers was ready to go, if you start hiring new, well, then you have to go through the course of training to get officers ready to be inside the walls of a school.
And of course, this all goes back to January 1st of 2024 when Act 12 was put into law, and it's right there in the statute. The 1st District, that's Milwaukee, needed to have these 25 officers in, which is what the school district keeps coming back to.
Over a year. They have been in violation of the law for over a year.
Number 2, in D.C., it's a big week of diplomatic visits with President Trump. Prime Minister of Britain set to meet with the president at the White House today. That visit comes following a chat with President Trump and French President Emmanuel Macron as the effort builds to end Russia's war in Ukraine.
The Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, is in Washington for these crucial talks with President Donald Trump on ending the war in Ukraine. Starmer just announcing a big increase in the British defense budget in hopes of persuading President Trump to maintain support for Ukraine. Now, Trump has been calling for the UK and European nations to step up their spending as the U.S., he says, has provided billions of dollars to Ukraine. This will be the second world leader to visit the White House just this week after a seemingly pleasant visit with the French president on Monday.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, meanwhile, set to meet with the president tomorrow. A rare earth and minerals deal between those two countries closer to getting done. It all comes again as President Trump confirmed today he is following through on tariffs, posting on Truth Social. Says the smuggling of fentanyl and other illicit drugs has reached, quote, unacceptable levels, and says import taxes will force other countries to crack down on that trafficking.
And finally, authorities in New Mexico are working to determine the cause of death of 2-time Academy Award winner Gene Hackman, 95 years old, found dead in his home along with his wife, who is a classical pianist, Bessie Arakawa. ABC's Jim Ryan.
In a brief emailed statement, the Santa Fe Sheriff's Office says that foul play is not suspected in the deaths of the 95-year-old Hackman and the 64-year-old Arakawa. A dog also was found dead in the home. The couple has lived quietly in Santa Fe since 1991, except an incident in 2012 when Hackman slapped a homeless man who had insulted his wife.
Yeah, foul play not expected, as Jim Ryan points out. Medical examiner reports with a final cause of death usually take a few weeks. Right. This could be another month or so, according to a spokesperson for the New Mexico Medical Investigators Office. You just think about the movies here. French Connection, Unforgiven, The Firm, Enemy of the State, just a long list of great films in which Gene Hackman starred.
I think of him as Lex Luthor in Superman.
Yeah, that's a big one too. And of course, Hoosiers, which will play us out.
If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners. Okay? All right. Let's go. Let's go. Let me hear it.
Whatever you want to call this season, we're over it. Time to look forward to...
Fly ball, right field. It is deep. It is gone!
Spring training is finally here and back on the radio.
It is up and it is gone. A walk-off homer for Vinny Capra.
Make sure to catch our next spring training broadcast as the Brewers take on the Rangers Saturday at 2. No matter the season, we are the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
Save on the best quality furniture and mattresses during the President's Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture. With major discounts from our premier suppliers, you will save big bucks on top brands like Bradenton Young, made in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains. Bradenton Young is known for its fine quality leather upholstery. Fjords brings you modern Scandinavian design recliners and sofas, ergonomically engineered for more hip and back support. Norwalk, with American roots that go back over 100 years, specializes in making furniture just for you. Choose the piece, style, fabric, or leather you want, and in just 35 days, we'll deliver your new sofa, chair, or sectional. In-stock or special orders are all sale priced. Need a little help putting it all together? At Ken Michaels Furniture, our design staff is ready to help you with your purchases, and it's free. Stop in today and save now during the President's Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
Are you worried about running out of money in retirement? Wondering about how to pay less taxes? Join me, Tony Drake, for the Retirement Ready Show, live every Saturday at noon and Sunday at 7 a.m. on WTMJ 620 or 103.3 FM. We'll talk about smart strategies to help you retire with confidence. Don't miss it.
Drake & Associates LLC is an independent investment advisory firm that offers a variety of different investment vehicles. This commercial is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as individual investment advice. Drake & Associates LLC does not provide legal or tax advice. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.
Might see a little bit of sun today. Otherwise, clouds are going to be dominant here with a high of 43 degrees, overnight low of 30, up to 52 tomorrow. Very windy, however. Might see some wind gusts topping 40 miles an hour. We cool off for the weekend with temperatures in the 30s for Saturday and Sunday. Should see plenty of sun back into the 40s on Monday. It is 40 degrees and mostly cloudy in Milwaukee at 11:16. Oh, busy day for the Trump administration yesterday. Of course, the first cabinet meeting. No chainsaw for Elon Musk, though we can't rule that out for future meetings. The Trump administration says it is rolling out $1 billion plan to ease the cost of eggs, but it could take months to roll out. And we do know that egg prices are on the rise and going north. We welcome in ABC's investigative reporter, Peter Haralambous. Peter, can you help us unscramble the plan here?
Oh, well, this plan is very well scrambled at the moment, though the rollout might take quite a while. At this point, they're investing $1 billion, as you noted, in making sure that biosecurity on American farms is improved. They're proposing importing hundreds of millions of eggs from overseas, from countries like Turkey. And the hope is that at the end of the day, when these things are rolled out, American consumers will ultimately feel some kind of relief at the checkout line at the grocery store when they purchase eggs. Consumers across the country, despite the average price for a dozen eggs being around $5, are reporting seeing prices of $7, $8, up to $12 for a carton of eggs. That's something we haven't seen in years, and it's likely to stay around for quite a while.
Peter, President Trump's repeatedly referenced where things were as far as costs during his first 4 years in office. Do we know how the prices we're seeing now compare with those prices where they were 4 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're not seeing much of relief. I mean, in the first month of the Trump administration, on average, costs of groceries that consumers buy on a regular basis, bread, milk, eggs, for example, have gone up even further. And the Trump administration is trying their best to cast blame back on to the Biden administration. But it is an issue that consumers and small businesses are feeling. It's not just that eggs are expensive. It's also that you're seeing things like coffee and milk getting more expensive. Bread and any kind of good that relies on eggs is also increasing, kind of as a byproduct of those raw materials being more pricey. And the folks I've spoken to, the economists, the folks who work in commodities pricing for eggs, are worried this is going to be the case for months to come.
Well, there really is no end in sight, as you mentioned. And what if you put a little perspective around the numbers? Hundreds of millions of eggs being imported. We've seen the likes of Turkey saying, hey, we'll put our eggs on a boat, send them your way. I can't get home from the grocery store without cracking at least a couple, so I'm not sure how that's going to work. But it just historically, what does the U.S. typically produce in a given month? Is it even close to what is being imported?
No, at the end of the day, even with that 100 million eggs from Turkey, it's not much to actually fix the most experts look at this. You're going to need much more than that, and it doesn't fix the other issues. The fact that when you go to the grocery store, you're seeing fewer eggs, you're opening up the cartons and finding them cracked and in poor condition. And even if the supply issue resolves itself, even if the bird flu dissipates and we see more imports from other countries, that's not to say that consumers are actually going to see some relief at the checkout line. If we rewind back to 2022, the last time the bird flu really was a problem, while the wholesale price of eggs came down pretty quickly in the beginning of 2023, retailers kept their prices relatively high. Their hope was that they could recoup some of the losses that they had from that deadly bird flu epidemic. And it meant for consumers that even though the supply side of things was improved, they were still paying $6 to $8 for a carton of eggs at the grocery store. Experts are worried we're going to see the same exact thing play out here, where the price stays high even if the issue resolves itself.
And of course, as we've mentioned, it's not just the grocery store, Peter, but also at your local diner or at your local breakfast restaurant. We've seen Waffle House and Denny's both say that they're going to have to raise the prices up. Now, McDonald's notably this week said they would not raise their prices. In your opinion, is that feasible? And if not, isn't that bad PR to make a promise that you know you can't ultimately keep if you're McDonald's?
You know, at the end of the day, I think McDonald's is looking at how much supply they have, how much control they have in the supply chain, and saying that they have the flexibility to do that. Even if they lose a little bit of money on their egg sandwiches, they can still profit from all the other things that consumers are coming in to buy, the coffee, the hash browns, etc. Though I think one particular concern to have going into the next few months is how small businesses are going to deal with this. They're kind of getting burnt at both ends. On one hand, they're paying the full wholesale price of eggs. You know, when you go to the grocery store and buy a carton of eggs, generally grocery stores will make eggs something that's called a loss leader. So that means that even if they're buying a carton of eggs for $8, they might sell it to you for $6, take a $2 loss, but recoup a lot of that loss from all the other stuff you get during your grocery store trip. Diners, restaurants, bakeries, they buy at the wholesale price. They're not getting that kind of cost benefit that consumers get. And also, small businesses are less inclined to pass the cost on to consumers, like Denny's, like IHOP, or like Waffle House might. So they're having to eat the cost of this increased egg price, and they're also paying full price, unlike consumers who might get a little bit of relief at the grocery store just because of how eggs are competitively priced.
All right, so let's do a big picture view here, Peter, if we can, right? The cost of eggs is being negatively impacted by the outbreak of bird flu, right? Trying to curb that certainly would go a long way in reducing some of the cost of eggs. But if you go back to the assertion that inflation, the cost of groceries, is tied to a specific administration, I'm not so sure I buy into all of that. Trump said, and he was loud in saying it, we're going to reduce the price of groceries, right? That was a main component of why I think he won the election. It's only been a month, I get it, in fairness, but those prices haven't gone down. How much can an administration truly control the price of groceries?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Trump campaigned on these literally bread and butter issues about the price of things at the grocery store. And the problem is what's driving those costs are these broader macroeconomic factors that are not driven by what a president says at a podium or even what policy he enacts. At the end of the day, it really comes down to a few months, even years, for an economic policy to take effect, for it to be rolled out, and for consumers to actually feel it. So, yes, Trump can say what he like, and they actually might roll out policies that are really effective in combating these prices. But that does not mean that we're going to see that in the next few weeks or the next few months, because it just takes time.
ABC's investigative reporter, Peter Haralambous. Always appreciated, Peter. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Blaine's Farm and Fleet Spring Workwear event is going on now, and we have a great selection of quality workwear styles at unbeatable prices. Like 30% off men's work and sport sweatshirts. Save $100 on select men's Keen utility work boots, $59.99 while supplies last. New at Blaine's, men's brunt workwear apparel, 25% off. Plus, earn $30 in Carhartt bucks for every $125 spent on Carhartt gear. We've got the value you need to do things your way. Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Being original.
Greg Matzek here for Siding Unlimited, once again named the best in the United States. That is amazing. Siding Unlimited, the best installation contracting team you will find as it pertains to really anything, but specifically recognized by Pella. Pella has recognized Siding Unlimited as its Platinum Premier Certified Contractor of the Year. That is a national award and the 5th time that Siding Unlimited has won it. Amazing. Located right in Brookfield, family-owned company. They will beautify your home's exterior with siding, doors, roofing, windows, you name it. They've got you covered here. Outdoor projects like patios and pavers, pergolas. Talk to them about pools and outdoor kitchens. It's Siding Unlimited. Truly siding and a whole lot more. Bring some ideas out to their showroom in Brookfield and visit sidingunlimited.com.
You're right, and I'll agree. It does sound too good to be true, but offering you affordable treatment that alleviates pain, which really does work, that we've seen in most cases insurance paid for in full, is a definite reality. It's pain relief, really. And these are FDA-approved treatments. They're safe and proven to reduce inflammation and alleviate pain. Yeah, you'll have to get a couple of shots, and I know that can scare people. But the needle is extremely small. And after giving shots like this hundreds of thousands of times, you'll see we make it very easy. You're going to feel the relief that our powerful pain relief agents give you. They're pain relief drugs that solve pain problems. And the way I feel is that Rejuvenex should be the first stop for anyone living with pain in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. At $65 per joint, per injection, it's probably the most affordable pain relief option available that actually works.
Rejuvenex.
Rejuvenex Google reviews will tell you more.
Time to recognize another everyday hero. Our weekly look with WTMJ's Eric Bilstead.
On Wisconsin's Morning News, we identify an everyday hero as an average John or Jane Doe who had no idea when they got up one morning they'd be saving a life. Today we head to Wayne Township, New Jersey. Tracy Delator and her husband were at their home one evening when they noticed their son was gone.
On Friday, February 14th at 6:40 p.m., our 11-year-old son Matthew, who is autistic and nonverbal, escaped from our house. After a few minutes of looking for him, I called 911.
The cops were there immediately. Dogs were there, drones. One report said there were like 100 people looking for Matthew, who again was nonverbal, autistic, and it was cold out.
So when Matthew's clothes get wet, he takes them off. He hates wearing wet clothes. He realized that his feet were
Tracy told the Wayne Township Council that her son would take off all his clothes if they were wet, and he basically did. He was in a sweatshirt and nothing else. He ended up 90 minutes later in someone's backyard. That's where 13-year-old Christopher McHale comes in.
Christopher McHale was in his bedroom when he heard sounds coming from his backyard, and it was Matthew.
Christopher told his mom, Andrea, that there was something happening outside. He could hear something, so they went and checked.
Andrea turned on the outside light, and that's when they saw Matthew sitting in the snow with just a sweatshirt on. And his sweatshirt was pulled over his knees to his toes because he was freezing.
The family immediately brought the boy in, treated him as if he were their own. They got him clothes, towels. Christopher even turned on a cartoon for him. Tracy says Christopher could have just ignored the sounds that he heard outside and went back to whatever he was doing. But he didn't.
If not for Christopher's quick thinking, I don't know what the outcome would have been, because Matthew was 70 pounds. It was 30 degrees that night. He had only a sweatshirt on, and he was already out there for an hour and 20 minutes. Time was not on our side. Christopher saved Matthew's life. Christopher is a true hero. Thank you.
The 13-year-old was recently honored at the Wayne Township Council meeting. The mayor was there and the police chief, who told him,
in about 10 or 11 years, if you want a job, you want to be a police officer, we could use some good men and women. I don't know what your plans are for the future.
Officer Christopher McHale has a nice ring to it. Thank you, Christopher, for being an everyday hero. For more, you can text the word HERO to the WTMJ Siding Unlimited talk and text line 855-616-1620. Everyday Heroes, sponsored by Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living, transforming the culture of care. Eric Bilstead, WTMJ News.
If you need a place for new home interior ideas, then you have to come talk to us. Our on-staff decorators know furniture, home decor, and a lot more. And they're not only creative, but also very willing to help you make great choices. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating taste come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee. Stop in often because our inventory changes daily.
Design Exchange.
Previously, it has been gently loved, but here you'll only find very well-conditioned premium home decor items that you likely won't find elsewhere. Distinctive furniture, unique antiques, and original art, and other tasteful home decor at a value. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor on consignment at 25 to 40% off retail prices in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Hey, boaters!
Inexperienced boaters are more than welcome here, because at Kendor Marine you'll find all the answers to your questions on parts, installation, troubleshooting, and the best part is, when we figure out what you need, we can grab it from our massive inventory of boat parts and supplies that no one around can match. I'm Dave Doro, and boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine, we got everything you need but the water.
KendorMarine.com.
Hey, boaters!
Where else are you going to find weather stripping for a 77 Carver? That's what he said, and I don't know the answer to that one, but he sure was glad he found it here. I'm Dave Doro with Kendor Marine, and when it comes to boat parts and supplies, we have it all. If you're a boater and you need it, we got it. And that's why you got to get here. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine, we got everything you need but the water.
KendorMarine.com.
It's 11:31. I'm Greg Matzik. This is Wisconsin's Midday News. It's Thursday, February 27th. Your top story, asking for another extension to add SROs.
I'm Adam Roberts. More issues for Milwaukee's Housing Authority.
Chance of an isolated shower today. Cloudy and breezy, a high of 43. Cloudy tonight, a low of 30. Partly sunny on Friday. Mild, going to be breezy as well with a high of 51. Currently 40 degrees, mostly cloudy in Milwaukee. At 11:31 from the WTMJ Breaking Newsroom, arguing in court over compliance with adding student resource officers in Milwaukee Public Schools. The attorney for MPS reiterated their side.
It's the board's position that it's in compliance with the court's orders from the last court date. It has taken every step that it can to ensure that police officers are present in court, and without the city providing them, there's nothing further at this point that the board can do to comply with the court's order.
Meanwhile, the city is asking for an extension until at least March 15th for compliance. They are currently in adjournment. We expect a ruling from Judge Borowski coming up here before too long.
Meanwhile, in the Kenosha Unified School District, that group is enhancing their safety protocol. Recent incidents in the past 4 months has the district evaluating physical security like controlled safety entrances. Superintendent Dr. Jeffrey Weiss.
They're more than just adding a set of doors. Those are major remodeling. And the estimate we got was $12.5 million for those 7 schools. So that's not something that we can do right away.
Dr. Weiss says the operational referendum that did not pass earlier this month would have covered those costs. In the meantime, the district is stationing a front door security monitor in schools at all times.
A former Milwaukee city attorney pleads not guilty and is headed for trial. Tierman Spencer is alleged to have used his public position to gain a dishonest advantage in a dispute with the Department of Neighborhood Services over a facility where his cars were stored. He's charged with felony misconduct while in office and misdemeanor obstructing an officer. Spencer's attorney tried to get the case dismissed, but the judge disagreed. He'll be back in court in April. If convicted, Spencer could face more than 4 years in prison.
Bed bugs, no heat, angry residents, and now another issue for Milwaukee's embattled housing authority. Mayor Cavalier Johnson had planned to name Ramona Ramos to fill a vacant HACM board seat, but Ramos withdrew her name from consideration this week. Journal Sentinel reporting the mayor blames the advocacy group Common Ground for Ramos withdrawing her name, as well as blaming Common Ground for contributing to the dysfunction of the HACM board. Earlier this week, the group sent a letter signed by hundreds of residents to the mayor's office expressing its frustration with his board nomination choice.
Greendale police still searching for the driver who sideswiped one of its police squads. The incident took place just before 10:30 Tuesday night near the corner of Loomis and Grange while police were doing a traffic stop. Police searching for a gray Toyota Tundra or Tacoma pickup that has the plastic housing of its passenger side mirror ripped off. Both the officer and the person seated in the rear seat of the squad were not hurt.
Sports, traffic, and weather coming up next. Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 11:34.
Feeling like winter inside your house? WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for USA Insulation. Many homes built before 1980 have little to no insulation. Anything you do, better than what you got, but you call USA and now you've got the best. Their foam injection method, 35% more efficient than your standard wall insulation. Most jobs done in as little as a day. Some homeowners qualify for thousands in rebates and discounts. Every USA customer begins saving money day one. USAinsulation.net.
USA Insulation.
The pulse of the Milwaukee Bucks, straight from a Bucks legend.
Can't get it off. Marcus Johnson will, though. Can't leave him alone for a 12.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson on Bucks Plus. Marcus and his son Chris offer a weekly beat on Bucks basketball. Get your questions answered and hear from the biggest names in basketball. Find Here District with Marcus Johnson at bucks.com/plus on the Bucks app or wherever you get your podcasts.
We are Outdoor Living Unlimited. We put cool stuff in your yard. Patios, decks, pergolas, outdoor kitchens, screen rooms, even in-ground pools. You dream it, we design it together, then Outdoor Living Unlimited installs it for you. OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or CVS.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. Cactus League play continues for the Brewers today. They'll take on the Royals. Our next broadcast scheduled for the weekend. It's been a great start to the Cactus League season for infielder Vinny Capra.
3 hits, 3 homers. So far, Vinny Capra has had the hottest start of anybody in the Cactus League. Acting manager Ricky Weeks Jr. says this is all a bonus.
He's having a hell of a spring right now. He's seeing the ball well, obviously. Anytime you can drive the ball consistently, it's always good. That's not what we kind of want him to do, but that's just an added plus.
Capra's situation is difficult. He has to make the team outright, as the Brewers would risk losing him to the waiver wire.
You know, he just seems differently this year. And on top of that, trying to make a team and trying to impress. Him being looser, I think it plays a big part as well.
From American Family Fields of Phoenix, I'm Dominic Cotroneo.
Bucks on the home floor tonight, taking on the Nuggets. Coverage begins following the 6 o'clock news. And on-field testing begins today at the NFL's annual Scouting Combine in Indianapolis.
Let's check the roads. Your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Just one incident right now, and it is a minor one. Broken down vehicle on the exit to Mequon from 43 North, that being Mequon Road. Don't have a view on that because the camera is off, but it does, I believe, according to the DOT, appears to be out of the way of traffic. Everywhere else is looking good. No other incidents or delays on the board.
Isolated shower possible, mostly cloudy and breezy, a high of 43 today. Cloudy tonight, a low of 30. Sun should return in some form on Friday. Going to be very breezy, however, with a high of 51. We cool off. Saturday's high just 30. Sunday's high 34, back into the 40s. On Monday, with increasing clouds. It's 40 degrees and cloudy in Milwaukee at 11:37. So it is deadline day. Or it was supposed to be deadline day. Police in schools. They are in court right now in adjournment. We should have a ruling here from Judge Borowski before too long on really who is on the hook for the lack of SROs in MPS buildings. It's been very contentious. The city filed a last-minute notice last night to ask for a delay after the deadline was put in place for today to have 25 school resource officers in MPS buildings. Never mind the fact that Act 12 was signed over a year ago, and these resource officers were supposed to have been in MPS buildings in January of 2024.
And we've been following, Greg, this all morning, and that is where ultimately the plaintiffs for Charlene Obrugan, who is the woman who filed this with the Institute of Law and Liberty, it all comes back to that day, January 1st, 2024. The law is the law is the law. And so the city now, we are finding, is asking for another delay on this. They've already requested one. It was granted earlier this month. Now they're asking for a delay on this matter until the middle of March 15th.
So this is kind of interesting because now you've got MPS saying, hey, we've done everything you've asked us to do. And the judge is saying, hey, City of Milwaukee, where are you at here? The city is arguing they provided a job posting for the SROs, and that puts them in compliance with the court's order. So now they're asking for an extension until March 15th for compliance. They say we got to do proper training, background checks, all the like, to get everybody set to go. Milwaukee Police Department says it wouldn't take long to get approved SRO candidates into training.
We would have a very short turnaround in identifying those officers to send to training, potentially within a week to 10 days of getting that applicant pool secured.
So attorneys are pointing out here that the National Association of School Resource Officers actually conducted a training in Appleton last week. Judge Borowski ordered that the SROs be back in schools today. I'm sure he's not happy with that announcement. And it looks like they are back in court with Judge Borowski at the desk.
Is that a separate conversation with the current administration? I'm sure it is, and I don't want to make any representations to that. As it relates to
You're hearing right now a representative for the city of Milwaukee speaking with Judge Borowski.
On behalf of the mayor, that as it relates to Act 12, we also were in objection to having the 6290 sub 8 mandated SRO program. While the mayor has always been in support of SROs, having it mandated under these conditions is something we've always objected to throughout the Act 12 process. And again, I don't want to make any representations of the current administration of MPS, and I've heard their statements, and there's no reason to deny that. But I do want to state for the record that in 2022, there were numerous correspondences to that. And why is that relevant?
Let me just say, so I'll take you at your word. But so maybe the city and MPS didn't sit in their hands, maybe. But we never got to actually moving the ball down the field. It was meeting after meeting after meeting. I'm of the belief, some people share it, others don't, that if you want to make sure nothing gets done, have a meeting. You want to make sure something really never gets done, have another meeting and appoint a blue ribbon task force. Then you'll talk and talk and talk and talk until you're blue in the face, but we'll make sure to never accomplish anything. And no one can argue that nothing's been accomplished in the last almost 2 years since spring of 2023 when Act 12 was being negotiated. Go ahead, sorry.
Thank you, Your Honor. All along, the issue has always been, and MPS has also recognized that there is a statutory requirement, and to your earlier points, it doesn't really matter what anybody's view of it is, it's the law. But the issue is over the apportionment of costs, which is something that hasn't been discussed today as we're reading basically every other sentence of 6290 sub 8. That's a critical part of that and a precondition of applying from the mayor's perspective of implementing the SRO program. What you
and let me jump in. Well, sorry to interrupt, but I've said this. You may have seen it. I've said this at other hearings. That was I think I said huge. It was a significant gap in the law. Had I been there, I'm not a legislator. I don't want to be. Had I been there, I would have said, you should enumerate, gentlemen, ladies, what the provision and payment provision is going to be. Make it 50-50, 60-40, 100% on MPS, whatever. That was a big gap in the law that led to some of these problems, because if that's not there, there's nothing to negotiate over relative to who's paying. If it says it's 50-50, then we can move on to actually getting them into schools. That part, since there's been a lot of finger pointing, I'm sure the plaintiffs would agree that part's on the legislature.
Your Honor, I wholeheartedly agree, and that has been exclusively the holdup from the city of Milwaukee. Dating back to correspondence from September of 2023, it has been, what is the apportionment of costs? As has been publicly referenced, our offer was your offer, the splitting costs. And, I appreciate the judge making that clear and making that ruling, because that was, to what you just stated, it's an ambiguity in law, and we could have gone back and forth for years. And I don't doubt that absent this hearing, we would still be in that position.
Well, they are in this position as the back and forth continues. It's the mayor's chief of staff right now speaking to Judge Borowski, representatives for MPS, of course, on site as well. And there was finger pointing a little bit in the early goings of today's hearing. But ultimately, the judge is pointing the finger back at the city of Milwaukee, saying, we've got everything we need to do, ready to go here from MPS. MPS is raising their hand, saying, we're doing the right things. We have complied with your orders. The city is not. And they've asked for an extension, and we should have a ruling here before too long.
One of the things I've noticed just as an observer also, Judge Borowski's been coming in hot today against the city. You caught that line when we just heard from the judge. You want to make sure nothing ever gets accomplished, have a meeting, which drew a wry chuckle from me over here. But he's been coming in hot at the city, and to their credit, they've only, I believe one of the officials said he's only been on this case representing the city for about 4 weeks. So that's a quick turnaround to have to try and propose your case in an argument on something that's been going on for almost 2 years. But still, very scathing remarks from Judge Borowski. And again, we'll watch for that ruling later today.
Well, he has every right to be frustrated. I mean, they've been in violation of the law for over a year, and you heard the mayor's chief of staff saying, well, it's the funding. Who was going to pay for it? 60-40? What was it going to be? And did it really take a year to get that all sorted out? Unfortunately, it has. So right now, the judge it doesn't appear happy with the city of Milwaukee in this particular case. We'll have more updates throughout the day. Jessica Gatso is covering the hearing. We'll check in with her in the 12 o'clock hour. Weekly Wellness Check is on the other side. It's 11:44.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Anti-Heartbreak Officer Brian Wickert. While national headlines talk about the inventory of homes for sale being a lot higher this year, that's still not the case in most of Wisconsin. The good news is that now, even in winter, AccuNet's experienced loan consultants are already helping many of our pre-approved home shoppers become homeowners and avoid the heartbreak of losing in a multi-offer situation. Sure, you can go with a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval, or you can present your offer with an AccuNet rock-solid, fully verified, and guaranteed pre-approval that also might come with the phrase that really makes sellers happy: no appraisal required. When an appraisal is needed, we can also show you in dollars and cents what it means to willingly pay a certain dollar amount over the appraised value if that's what's needed to win, which is usually a lot less scary than people imagine. Reduce your risk of home shopper heartbreak by getting started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval at AccuNet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
SemperFiRoofing.com.
Hey, it's the weekend. Take your family to the historic Fox and Hound Supper Club. Half your dinners are free, even on the weekend. WTMJ's John Mercure here. I love the Fox and Hounds, my favorite place. The Friday fish fry is all you care to eat and one of the best. All other dinners are buy one, get one free. Choice steaks, delicious seafood, mouthwatering pasta. The pecan-crusted walleye is so good. All the entrees are buy one, get one free. Desserts, too. Including that chocolate cake. Buy one, get one free. De-stress with an old-fashioned, a Manhattan. They've got 20 great bourbons, over 100 fine wines, and those 8 elegant dining rooms with real wood-burning fireplaces. Fantastic. Saturday night, your second prime rib dinner is free, only at the Fox and Hounds. The magnificent Sunday brunch is all you can eat. Kids and grandkids under 3 eat for free. Wherever you live, it's worth the drive through the Kettle Moraine for your free dinner right near Holy Hill. Call and reserve your free dinner this weekend. FoxandHoundsRestaurant.com.
Interest rates are high, home values are up. Decided to stay in your home? Let's upgrade it with new windows and siding from Abbey Home. We can design fully customized new looks for your home with different profiles, styles, colors. The options are endless. Right now, get 20% off your entire project and qualify for the tax credits with our energy-efficient windows, doors, and siding. Go to myabbeyhome.com today. If somebody asks you if you know a guy in the business, you can say no, but I know a girl.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano talking with Dr. Mike Nolte at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Doc, a lot of people are hesitant to visit a surgeon for spine care.
The good news is that the vast majority of patients that I see and the majority of conditions that I can see can be successfully treated without surgery. And I don't want patients to think that just because you're seeing a spine surgeon means that you're going to be signing up for surgery. We talk about, in my clinic, kind of a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C.
Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, there is a difference. OrthoWisconsin.com.
Doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of loving.
Time for our weekly wellness check. Pinch hitting for Dr. Ben Weston today is Dr. Tom Growe, Assistant Professor of Emergency Medicine at the Medical College of Wisconsin. Dr. Growe, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, great to have you on. We had talked about this earlier in the program, but this measles outbreak in Texas, which has now led to the death of a child in a community that is largely unvaccinated. Measles outbreaks are not common. We haven't had one in Wisconsin in a number of years, but what do you make of the outbreak and where this is going?
Yeah, so measles is a really contagious viral infection. It primarily affects the respiratory system and usually is spread through the air by respiratory droplets that either come from coughing, sneezing, And a lot of times patients that get exposed end up with a high fever, cough, runny nose, and watery eyes that are red. And then usually a few days later get this signature rash that starts on the face and then spreads throughout the body. What we've been seeing with these decreased vaccination rates, as you mentioned, are more cases of measles. And unfortunately, while many people recover, it can lead to severe complications such as pneumonia, brain inflammation, and even death, particularly in children. And as you mentioned, there have been more than 120 cases since late January in Texas and nearby New Mexico. And one of these children did pass away, which was the first death from measles in the U.S. in the past decade. So it really highlights the risks of declining vaccination rates and emphasizes this threat that measles poses to public health, even in regions where the disease was once rare and we really weren't seeing it a lot.
Doctor, what can we glean about vaccination rates given this current outbreak, and what role does herd immunity also play in preventing similar ones from happening?
Yeah, I think the vaccination rates are particularly important in this outbreak. The current vaccination rates reported in one Texas county where a lot of these measles cases have been centered is around 82%. And what we like to see in communities is closer to 95% vaccination rates. So that helps you achieve herd immunity. Now, herd immunity is this protective barrier for those who can't be vaccinated, like infants or the immunocompromised. And the idea there is that if greater than 95% of the population is vaccinated, the virus has a really hard time spreading, because whenever one person gets infected and it might try to spread to somebody else, it ends up hitting somebody who has been vaccinated and can't get sick and can't communicate the disease. So it's no surprise that in areas where vaccine rates have dropped, the disease is becoming more prevalent.
Doctor, what do we know about the effectiveness of the vaccine? We always talk about sort of guessing every year with the flu shot that people get. You're sort of anticipating what you think the strain is going to be. Any such issues with the vaccine for measles?
Yeah, so the measles vaccine, it's the MMR vaccine. It covers measles, mumps, and rubella. And this vaccine has been around for decades. So this is a more predictable virus, unlike the flu, where we do need to play a little bit of a guessing game and try to figure out what influenza strain we might have the following year. This is not the case with measles. So this MMR vaccine, like I said, has been around for decades. It's very safe in multiple studies, and it's a lot more predictable. So this is a vaccine that that the CDC has been recommending that children are getting, as they grow up, and certainly before school age.
Dr. Gawee joins us here on Wisconsin's Midday News in place of Dr. Ben West, and we don't believe that he is under the weather, just out of town. He's a very busy person. Dr. Gawee, we got to cut you short here. We're going to go back to the courtroom here for a key ruling today regarding SROs and MPS, but we appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah, measles outbreak in Texas has killed one and affected over 100 in that community. Want to go back into the courtroom. Judge Borowski is at the stand. You're talking behind the desk.
In compliance with the law. And based on what Mr. Desiato said, there may have been things going on behind the scenes that were not brought up in court previously, or that I was unaware of, or maybe plaintiff's counsel was unaware of. But as the old saying goes, talk is cheap. This court expects action, and this court expects its orders followed. That may not apply to every judge in the building. I hope it does, but I expect my orders to be followed. You don't have to like them, but they need to be followed. It was set today, this hearing, to consider the efforts made by the city and MPS to comply with my most recent court order. The court has gone through and resolved and ruled on 2 requests for writ of mandamus. The original writ and then the second writ, which I signed off on approximately 10 days ago, ordering the compliance with the law within 10 days by today, February 27th. While there has been an enormous amount of foot dragging from both sides, I'm convinced, at least for today, that MPS has complied with my order to the extent that it's possible for them to comply. I don't want to rehash the prior arguments and prior discussions and that memorandum of understanding and the negotiations and the arguments, but within the last 10 days, I think probably because Ms. Kohlberg prevailed on the school board, they acted rather promptly now, finally, and have agreed to pay for their half of the cost of this program. And they've said, and I trust counsel for the school board as an officer of the court, that if the city had 25 officers tomorrow and dropped them on their doorstep, that they would accept them and work with MPD to make sure that those officers can be effective in their roles. I do not think the city has complied with my order. So here's my ruling. And the city has had a chance via the testimony, via argument, to explain their efforts or lack of efforts to avoid contempt. One of the biggest problems here is beyond the long-term foot dragging that's gone on for a year and a half. But relative to these specifics, I'm still not clear on or convinced about the dichotomy that's being presented to me on finances. I'm still not exactly convinced, or at least not fully convinced, that the Common Council needs to be involved, but fine, they need to be involved pursuant to the submission from the City Attorney's Office. I'm granting the request from the plaintiffs. I'm finding the City of Milwaukee in contempt of my prior order. I'm finding them $1,000 a day starting today. That's under Wisconsin Statute 785.04, which allows for the imposition of various sanctions, including a forfeiture under subsection C, not to exceed $2,000 for each day the contempt continues. I am going to temporarily stay that order of contempt. I'm going to stay it at the request of the city until approximately 2 weeks from now, March 15th. That contempt can be avoided or purged, depending on how you look at it. Either I would vacate the order or it might be continued. It can be purged by the following. The city comes back to me with a list of the Common Council having approved everything that is being held out to me, the Common Council is going to approve. They have their 3 meetings tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, and they can do what they want. They're elected officials, but they make all the approvals that are necessary to move this train down the track. When we come back, I'm also ordering, in terms of either the staying in place or a purge of the contempt, that the city and MPS provides me with the names of the officers that are assigned and the schools that they're assigned to. If necessary, if either side, particularly, well, either side, the city or MPS thinks that that should be confidential because you don't want the names of the officers out there or even the names of the schools, I'm fine with sealing that information. But I want a letter detailing it's Officer Smith, Officer Jones, Officer, McNally, whoever it is. I want the names of the 25 officers and the 25 schools that they're being assigned to. Or, and I'm not going to direct MPS how to do this, maybe 2 officers at 1 school. But I want the names of the officers and the schools. I also, by that date, which is roughly 2.5, 3 weeks from now, March 15th, want proof that the training of these officers has occurred or has been scheduled. I think, candidly, I am being eminently reasonable. And for Mr. Mookie and Mr. Desiato, it's a fine line for me to walk in terms of telling the mayor exactly what to do or telling the police chief what to do. They both have their positions.
It's Judge David Borowski going through the ruling here. To summarize what he said, he is finding that MPS is in compliance with his previous orders, but the city is not. And they have been found in contempt of the judge's order and will be fined $1,000 per day until they comply with the judge's orders. They have until March 15th to get these resource officers into place, and he called it foot dragging for over a year and a half. He's clearly frustrated, the judge. The city does have a way to purge this $1,000 per day fine. They need to approve these officers being in place moving forward by March 15th and provide names of officers and schools, where they're going to be and who. Also, proof of training that has been completed or scheduled. So there is a list here. There's a bullet point list that the judge is seeking, and that'll help reduce or maybe even eliminate this $1,000 per day fine. But otherwise, that fine will be levied upon the city as they've been found in contempt.
And it is important also to note before we head to break, the judge did make that important addendum that he's staying that request until the 15th, but as of today, those fines start to rack up for the city.
It's 11:59. News is next.
Save on the best quality furniture and mattresses during the President's Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture. With major discounts from our premier suppliers, you will save big bucks on top brands like Bradenton Young, made in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains. Bradenton Young is known for its fine quality leather upholstery. Yours brings you modern Scandinavian design recliners and sofas, ergonomically engineered for more hip and back support. Norwalk, with American roots that go back over 100 years, specializes in making furniture just for you. Choose the piece, style, fabric, or leather you want, and in just 35 days, we'll deliver your new sofa, chair, or sectional. In-stock or special orders are all sale priced. Need a little help putting it all together? At Ken Michaels Furniture, our design staff is ready to help you with your purchases, and it's free. Stop in today and save now during the President's Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
Fall in love with your vision with a new style from Shopko Optical. Use your vision benefits and schedule an annual comprehensive eye exam. You can check out new frame styles and order your annual supply of contact lenses all in one place. Shopko Optical is committed to quality eye care and will create personalized vision solutions tailored to your specific vision and lifestyle needs. Treat yourself to a new style. Call Shopko Optical or visit shopko.com to schedule an appointment at a location nearest you.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a good karma brand station.
Built Right. One location saves you money.
The Bucks aren't here to joke around with the Nuggets.
Giannis has it, crossing over on Jokic into a swarm of defenders and lays it in with the right hand anyway, just slashing his way to the cup.
Our coverage of the game starts tonight at 6 with Bucks Shoot Around. We are your home for the Milwaukee Bucks. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
It's 12:01. I'm Greg Matzik. This is Wisconsin's Midday News for Thursday, February 27th. Your top story, a ruling on SRO.
I'm Adam Roberts. An Oscar winner's death under investigation.
Chance of some rain today, otherwise mostly cloudy and breezy, a high of 43. Cloudy tonight and a low of 30, up to 52 and breezy on Friday. It's 41 and cloudy in Milwaukee at 12:02 from the WTMJ Breaking Newsroom. A split ruling on compliance for SROs. Judge David Borowski finds the city of Milwaukee is in contempt of court, imposing a fine of $1,000 per day for noncompliance. However, he did issue a stay for the order until March 15th. If the Common Council approves all funding for SROs, provides the names of the officers assigned and the schools they're being assigned to, along with proof of training being completed or scheduled for those officers. Judge rules that MPS is in compliance with his order based on their unanimous approval of the funding for the SROs.
Meanwhile, State Representative Bob Donovan telling WTMJ there should be real consequences for noncompliance.
Absolutely no excuse, and I hope to God Judge Borowski throws some people in jail for their contempt and their unwillingness to do the right thing and abide by the state law.
Act 12 required 25 school resource officers be placed in MPS buildings starting January of 2024.
School safety training coming to Kenosha Unified School District. This comes after two incidents, one involving a teen bringing a firearm to school and one swatting incident. This all happening within 4 months. Office of School Safety Executive Director Trish Kilpin.
Kenosha is also a leader in the area of school threat assessment. They've developed a community coalition referred to as STACK that is a model practice.
Kenosha Unified School District is looking to add controlled safety entrances to more of its facilities, something Superintendent Dr. Jeffrey Weiss says would have been covered if the district's referendum had passed last week.
Happening today, a trip across the pond for a visit to the White House.
The White House says President Trump and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer will spend much of their time together today talking about a peaceful resolution for Russia's war in Ukraine. Officials say the U.S. has been in constant contact with European partners, providing updates on negotiations. A senior administration official said the Trump administration is pleased that the U.K. is increasing its defense spending to meet its obligation to NATO, as well as Starmer's commitment to send British troops to Ukraine to help enforce peace after a deal is reached. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
A search warrant reveals new information about the death of 95-year-old legendary Hollywood actor Gene Hackman and his 63-year-old wife, Betsy Arakawa, and their dog. Their bodies were found in their New Mexico home late Wednesday. It appears the deaths are being investigated as suspicious. ABC's Alex Stone is following.
The autopsies will hopefully answer some of this. That could be weeks down the road if they do toxicology. The investigation, if they find any signs of a leak, right now they have not found any. They don't know what this was yet. Based on these documents and this search warrant that we now have, they don't know if this was carbon monoxide poisoning. They are looking at it. That still seems like probably the most likely scenario, but they've got to look at everything. It is suspicious, and they got to figure out why they died.
Time now for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow's up 259 points this hour at 43,690. The NASDAQ, meanwhile, in the red, down 129 points at 18,945. And the S&P 500, modest losses today, down 4 at 5,591. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. More details at annexwealth.com.
Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 12:05.
With the help of Less's Glass, you can have the shower you've always wanted. Heavy glass shower enclosures from Less's Glass are installed by the best in the business. And when you have a showroom to visit with over a dozen glass shower enclosures on display, there's no guessing games. See the ultimate in frameless shower design with doors mounted on smooth as silk, stainless steel barn-style rollers. This design combines the beauty and elegance of heavy glass with a minimalist look to create an ideal shower enclosure for tight spaces. Premium shower doors and custom-designed all-glass enclosures. When you work with Less's Glass, you're working with a company that really can do it all. This is Stacy Sinks with Less's Glass Service. If it's a new glass shower door, fogged or broken insulated glass replacement, or affordable glass and mirror home decor that you've been looking for, you just can't pass on Less's Glass. Less's Glass Service, serving all of southeastern Wisconsin. Find us at lessglassservice.com.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here for Tri-County Contracting. You want to know the price of a new roof on your home today? Well, it's easy. Just go to TriCountyContractingWI.com, click on the Instant Roof Quote button, put in your address and email, click the Show My Roof Price, and there you go. Zero wait time. There's your quote. You shop online for everything else. Who says you can't shop online for a new roof? TriCountyContractingWI.com. It's worry-free roofing, siding, and windows. TriCountyContractingWI.com.
Fingers come in different sizes.
It's one of the first things you learn as a jeweler.
And a ring can only be sized up or down a little bit.
Which means it's a really good thing to know your ring size.
And it's an even better thing to know their ring size.
This is why we're announcing
the Ring Size Registry at Kessler's.
We're doing it as a public service. It's completely free.
Free. Isn't that a great price?
Here's how it works.
Just drop into any Kessler's Diamonds location and tell one of the owners that you'd like to know your ring size.
Kessler's is an employee-owned company, so whoever greets you at the door is an owner.
They'll determine your ring sizes and add them to our Ring Size Registry.
Then, when someone wants to know your ring size...
Because, you know, maybe they want to surprise you.
All they have to do is call or stop into Kessler's.
Surprises can be fun, don't you think?
We're happy to do this for you, even if you don't buy a ring from us.
But after you take a look around, we think you probably will. Visit KesslersDiamonds.com for a location near you and register your ring sizes today.
Just like most cars and trucks can't run without oil, no person can function without food. That's why through March 1st, the Auto Dealers of Metro Milwaukee is contributing $1 from every oil change to Feeding America, Eastern Wisconsin. Every dollar provides 3 healthy meals. Over the past 14 years, Adam has provided more than 2.6 million meals to people in southeast Wisconsin. And now the need is greater than ever. Find a participating Adam dealer near you at adamm.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. On-field activity underway at the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. That's where you'll find Packers GM Brian Gutekunst.
Everything that they do here, just kind of immersing yourself in that to get to know these guys as well as you can. You don't have this opportunity again. This is kind of a 1 week. So to me, that's the priority.
Meanwhile, the NFL is considering changing overtime rules during the regular season to decrease the advantage for teams that win the coin toss. The league also plans to use its virtual measuring system to determine first downs in 2025. The Bucs take on the Nuggets tonight. It's a 7 o'clock tip from Fiserv Forum. Coverage begins following the 6 o'clock news on WTMJ. And the Brewers take on the Royals in Cactus League play this afternoon from Arizona.
Checking over the roads now, your WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. Nice and easy drive right now. We had an earlier broken down vehicle on the exit from 43 North to Mequon Road, but that has been taken care of, and so we've got a free map right now. All green, no delays, no incidents.
Some peaks of sun today, but primarily cloudy. Chance for some rain sprinkling around with a high of 43, 30 your overnight low, up to 51. Wind gusts up to 40 miles an hour on Friday, partly sunny. Saturday, mostly sunny and a high of 30. Mostly sunny on Sunday with a high of 34. Clouds return on Monday with a high of 43. It is 40 and cloudy in Milwaukee at 12:10.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios in downtown Milwaukee, it's Wisconsin's Midday News, making stories come to life. Now, here are your hosts, Greg Matzik and Jessica Ty.
No, just kidding. No, Adam Robertson for Jessica. She is off for the rest of the week, and on Monday, she'll be back on Tuesday. Gina producing the program, got a full news department, and they are cranking away after a recent ruling in a Milwaukee courtroom. It tops our Now at Noon as we hit 12:10.
It's Now at Noon on Wisconsin's Midday News.
Just moments ago, Milwaukee Public School Resource Officer saga continues with the ruling from County Judge David Borowski. Judge Borowski finds the city of Milwaukee in contempt of court, imposing a fine of $1,000 per day for noncompliance. However, he did issue a stay for the order until March 15th if the Common Council agrees to 3 requirements. For those requirements, we welcome in WTMJ's Jessica Gatso, who was in the courtroom today at the courthouse. Jessica, what does the judge need to see from the city in order to remove this threat of a $1,000 fine?
Hi, Greg. So the judge wants to see a couple of things. He wants to see the names of the officers and what schools they are assigned to. And that has to be, like you said, be presented to him by March 15th, and that doesn't necessarily have to be publicized. It can be under seal, but he wants to see those names and those schools. He also wants this training to be resolved. He expects the city of Milwaukee and the police department to have training either completed or scheduled to be completed by that March 15th date.
And Jessica, a lot of the direction from Judge Borowski today was directed at the city. As court exited today, did anyone who was representing the city have anything to say as they were heading out of court?
Not representatives from the city, but the plaintiff did have some comments, and the mother filing the suit, she did have some comments and concerns about this continuing to play out, and since the order is stayed, sort of a lack of confidence still that things will kind of carry on past then.
WTMJ's Jessica Gatso from the courthouse. Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, frustrated judge, too. You could tell. He was frustrated. This has been dragging on for well over a year. It's in violation of the law. In MPS, up until the judge's most recent order, they had plenty to point the finger at. And ultimately, in his ruling, MPS has been found in compliance and the city in contempt.
The Trump administration with a plan to roll out $1 billion in egg cost easement. However, that plan could take several months to roll out. We turn to ABC's Rebecca Jarvis.
According to the Secretary of Agriculture, the U.S. will look to import between 70 and 100 million eggs. That is still a relatively small number compared to the nearly 8 billion eggs the U.S. produced in just the month of January. The plan's meant to address the impact of the bird flu, and it also calls for a $500 million investment in biosecurity, $400 million in financial relief for impacted farmers, and $100 million in research and development of vaccines.
Yeah, certainly eggs have become the focal point of this inflation talk so far in 2025. We spoke with ABC's Peter Haralambous about this earlier today. Egg prices, by the way, expected to climb another 41% this year.
The United States has recorded its first measles death in a decade. An unvaccinated child in Texas succumbed to the disease. ABC's Jim Ryan is in Texas.
Health officials were scrambling to check their facts after Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said during Wednesday's cabinet meeting,
"There are 2 people who have died."
The White House later corrected that error. Kennedy, who's been an outspoken critic of vaccination, downplayed the West Texas measles outbreak.
It's not unusual. We have measles outbreaks every year.
At last count, 124 cases had been reported in and around Lubbock, with 119 of those involving unvaccinated patients. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Scary situation, but this is all part of a Mennonite community in Texas. They do not believe in vaccinations, and it is running roughshod through that particular community. 12:14 on WTMJ, our weekly check-in with Greater Milwaukee Committee President Joel Brennan after this.
Much like a 10-piece from McDonald's,
Fancy sauce. Brennan really likes with his chicken nuggets.
the nuggets are crispy on the outside.
Can I have fancy sauce?
I'm using it right now.
But soft on the inside. The Nuggets head to Milwaukee to take on the Bucks.
Kuzma fires up a 3, top of the arc, and he plants it right in the heart of the cylinder.
Our Bucks radio game day coverage starts tonight at 6:30. We are the home of the Bucks. WTMJ.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
Hey, boaters!
Where else are you going to find weather stripping for a 77 Carver? That's what he said, and I don't know the answer to that one, but he sure was glad he found it here. I'm Dave Doro with Kendor Marine, and when it comes to boat parts and supplies, we have it all. If you're a boater and you need it, we got it. And that's why you got to get here. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
KendorMarine.com.
Hey, boaters!
Inexperienced boaters are more than welcome here, because at Kendor Marine you'll find all the answers to your questions on parts, installation, troubleshooting, and the best part is, when we figure out what you need, we can grab it from our massive inventory of boat parts and supplies that no one around can match. I'm Dave Doro, and boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
KendorMarine.com.
Fleet Farm's bucket sale is back. You know the drill. Pick up a Fleet Farm 5-gallon bucket for only $3.99. Then save 15% on everything you can fit inside, including clearance. That's right. Any qualifying items you can fit in the bucket are 15% off. So come on in and load up on savings during Fleet Farm's bucket sale. Now through March 5th. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
12:15 is on a Thursday, our weekly check-in with Greater Milwaukee Committee President. It's Joel Brennan. Hello, Joel.
Hi there.
So I was driving around the other day. I make frequent trips kind of off Watertown Plank, taking a trip into downtown or to some friend's house that we have in Tosa. I am always amazed at how much is happening around that medical complex. Both of our daughters were born at Children's. You were at the Versity site yesterday. What is going on there? It seems like a massive project.
Yeah, it's just another of the literally hundreds of millions of dollars that are underway right now. So Versity, which most of us know in its former name as the Blood Center of Wisconsin, it operates in several states as a nonprofit. But and they do, when people are giving blood, they give it through one of their sites around the city. But they're now building about an $80 million research center attached to their location on Watertown Plank right there. It's going to be a place that they do research on blood disorders. Most specifically, we were last night discussing sickle cell, which is something that in the African American community especially is a debilitating disease, and it limits the lifespan for people in the community who have it. We've made some great strides on it, but Milwaukee is the center, and Versity is the center of some of that research. So they're spending about $80 million for a project that will be done sometime in 2026. So we were just kind of getting an initial look at it. Right now, the site is just a hole in the ground. So they just have, like, in the back of the building, they've got a big hole that's going to be filled in. But it's fascinating, and it's just an example, as you say, of what really has transformed and continues to reinvent and transform itself with all the partners who are out there on the county medical complex.
You know, Joel, there's a lot of projects, obviously, that are forming around the greater Milwaukee area. You've got the pro soccer development with news announced on that this week. But what about this particular site is so attractive from a business perspective to continue investing in?
Well, I think one of the biggest things about it is last night there were 3 researchers who talked to us, and I think 2 researchers had come here from Pittsburgh. They talked about another who's coming here from Harvard this year. So this is a place that attracts talent from around the region, around the world, and raises Milwaukee's profile as a destination for smart, innovative people, and to be a center of research. And and that's just at Versity. You talk about the others on that complex, the Medical College of Wisconsin, Freighter, all the partners who are there right now. It's interesting. I go back to my days in state government, and we put together some of the resources for a partnership for the state crime lab that's going to be there, the Milwaukee County Medical Examiners, the Office of Emergency Management, another project that's kind of coming out of the ground there. And so it just is an example of, in that space out in Wauwatosa, that has utterly transformed itself. Now, I'm going to go back further than you and the birth of your daughters, and it's a moment that's personal to me. But my father had a heart attack on his birthday in March, about 41 years ago. So right about this time. And it happened at Elmbrook Hospital in Brookfield. They transferred him to what was then the county hospital on that site. And I remember going there that night and visiting him, but just like getting out and walking in. These are the kind of memories that you have of just this massive outdoor parking lot. Like, that's what I remember, like going in and then seeing my dad hooked up to all these tubes. Like, that is not what that place is anymore. There isn't a place anywhere there that doesn't have just worldwide and world-class medical research that's going on there. And we're fortunate to have it. More people have their lives extended, whether you're a young person who goes into the emergency room at Children's now that's new, and others at various stages in their lives. And our lives are enhanced by having that there, but it's also a huge economic driver for this community. It drives research. It drives being able to attract people from all around the world. And that's just something, you don't, if you're in and around the central business district, sometimes you forget that there is this community out there on the west side that is doing really unbelievable things.
Switching gears here, I don't know if you saw the Green and Gold movie that came out starring Craig T. Nelson.
Still planning to see it. I haven't yet.
It's fascinating. It really is. Craig T. Nelson sung the national anthem before a Packers game. We talked to the producers and director of that film, and it became something that Hollywood was interested in, but the producers said no, because they were going to take it to Alabama and out of Wisconsin. The producers felt very strongly about filming this movie about the Green Bay Packers in Wisconsin, on Wisconsin soil, despite perhaps it being more cost-effective to do it in other states.
Well, I think actually Wisconsin, we lose out on some movies. It's interesting. I got a call just a couple of weeks ago from a guy, and I'm not going to talk about the story. It's a really interesting Milwaukee and Wisconsin story he's trying to make a movie on, and the locations are all in and around this community. But and he's still trying to raise money, and so he's pitching people in Wisconsin on this idea. But really would like to film it here. But the incentives are better in the state of Illinois, where he is, than they are here. And so, while he would like to do it here, there are some benefits to doing it across the border. And in his most recent budget proposal, the governor, and this has happened in the last couple of years as well, proposed some incentives, like 25%. If you're hiring people from Wisconsin on this, then 25% of what you pay them could be available in a credit. There are other tax credits that you could be eligible for up to about $10 million here in the state. And there's a group in and around the state that have been working on this. We, 30 years ago or so, we used to have incentives, and you remember Johnny Depp filmed a movie in and around the Third Ward. That we attracted some of that stuff. Some of this is also we had such a great response to Top Chef last year, and that put us on the map. But if there's ways that we can create some more incentive for that, you don't want to give away the store, but if you can attract some more effort in Milwaukee and in Wisconsin, that's a net good for us.
So what would be some quick fixes? And I know there's no such thing as a, quote, quick fix, but there's got to be some things beyond just massive legislation that we could enact at the local level to at least make it slightly more attractive to do.
I think, what you saw during Top Chef even was the kind of things that we can do under the current restrictions we have now. There were the hotel community, the hospitality community contributed a whole bunch to that to just enable that to happen. But it doesn't, I don't think this is massive legislation that you need either. There's already bipartisan support for this. 40 states around the country are doing some sort of tax incentives to draw the movie industry. There are places like the state of Georgia really has become one of the places to do this because, they have elevated everything that they're doing to try to attract Hollywood. So there's plenty of things that we can do on the micro level, but there's a macro, statewide tax credit effort that I think it doesn't necessarily have to mean moving mountains, but which can have a big impact.
Have you been following the SRO saga here with MPS? Hearings, court orders. We're a year kicking this can down the road of no SROs and MPS buildings, despite what the law says.
Yeah, and to me, the most frustrating thing is I've had a number of conversations in recent days talking about what else can we be doing with the legislature in Milwaukee and on issues around public safety or education or other issues. And some of the response from Madison is, well, we won't do anything until you fix this thing with the SROs. And I think that's why that just shows how foolish it has been for us to let this be the thing that keeps us from getting other stuff done. It looks like they're moving towards resolution, but it is way overdue, and I think it's an embarrassment that it's taken this long.
Joel Brennan is the president of the Greater Milwaukee Committee, our weekly guest here on Wisconsin's Midday News. Appreciate it, Joel.
Nice to be with you.
Thank you.
Blaine's Farm and Fleet Spring Workwear event is going on now, and we have a great selection of quality workwear styles at unbeatable prices. Like 30% off men's work and sport pocket tees, $10.49 each. Save $10 on Ariat Rebar Made Tough work pants. New at Blaine's, men's brunch workwear apparel, 25% off. Plus, earn $30 in Carhartt bucks for every $125 spent on Carhartt gear. We've got the value you need to do things your way. Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Being original.
Wisconsin's hometown pizza is Palermo's, made proudly in the state of Wisconsin, celebrating its 60th anniversary. That is amazing. And they do it right. No doubt about that. Palermo's, Wisconsin's hometown pizza, found wherever you like to shop. There's a pretty good deal going on right now. In fact, this is an amazing deal. How about the Connie's brand? Have you had a Connie's before? Pizzeria taste without the pizzeria price. It's Connie's, and it's on sale right now for $5.99 at Sendik's. You can stock up. It's not a buy one, and that's it. You'd stock up your Connie's pizza, $5.99 at Sendik's. Good from the 26th of February to March 4th. So you still got plenty of time to cash in on this great deal. They've got Surfer Boy, Screamin' Sicilian, Urban Pie, you name it. Primo Thin is fantastic. They've got pizza bowls, too, if you don't like the crust. It's Palermo's, Wisconsin's hometown pizza.
I've always believed that great service makes all the difference. At Waterstone Bank, it's more than just banking. It's personal. When I needed help choosing an account, my banker took the time to understand my needs and guided me through my options. Thanks to her advice, I can watch my money grow, knowing it's secure.
Welcome to your Waterstone Bank, where community and personal service come together. Member FDIC.
As clutch of a player to ever play basketball.
It's game time on Season 4 of Behind the Bucks on Bucks Plus.
This year I was like, I need to impose myself more on this team.
Explore Damian Lillard's journey to becoming a top 75 player in NBA history.
That's what really had me feeling like this is going to be great.
Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker, and H&R Benefits Consultant. Find Bucks Plus on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, and wherever you get podcasts.
And now about your house. It's where you live. But do you also live in your yard? My friends at Outdoor Living Unlimited help people extend their home living beyond the walls. Your imagination may be limited, so let's call on Eric Brown, president of Outdoor Living Unlimited, to expand upon it.
Some of the most exciting projects from Outdoor Living Unlimited involve adding dimension to the backyard. During the design phase, we bring all kinds of ideas to the project. We generally start with the focused effort in the 2D world, the two-dimensional world, with a deck or a paver patio. I call this our blank canvas. Decks and patios, when built right, are wonderful to enjoy when you want to relax and unwind. Designed correctly, these projects lend themselves to adding a third dimension to the backyard that often consists of a version of a pergola. I say version of a pergola because the term pergola has taken on so many meanings and styles recently. We can build a pergola that has cedar slats to break up the sun, which looks beautiful, gives the backyard a defined space, and definitely adds another dimension to the backyard. These are stylish with their natural beauty. If you're looking for more, pergolas have evolved all the way to powder coat aluminum framing with automated louvers in the roof that open for natural light or, with the press of a button, close to deflect rain or create shade. These newer contemporary pergolas also have automated screens that you can open and close with the push of a button. You control your space. If you want screens for privacy, wind deflection, or to deter bugs, you can have them down. Or press a button and the screens roll up and you have a clear view of your surroundings. There are so many other options when it comes to designing your space. Adding a third dimension brings excitement to any backyard.
See all of the cool things that Outdoor Living Unlimited can do for your yard on their Instagram page. Or see it inside Outdoor Living Unlimited's unique outside-in showroom in Waukesha. OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
It's 12:30. I'm Greg Matzik. This is Wisconsin's Midday News. Your top story, an SRO ruling in a Milwaukee court.
I'm Adam Roberts. A close call in Greendale.
41 degrees and cloudy in Milwaukee at 12:30.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The House passed a budget blueprint this week aimed at delivering massive cuts and tax breaks for President Trump's agenda. Democrats say that would include making his 2017 tax cuts permanent. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries says Republicans will not get support for cuts to critical programs.
Hands off Social Security, hands off Medicare, hands off Medicaid.
President Trump also indicated cuts will not impact those services. The president holding meetings today at the White House with Britain's prime minister. Talks include tariffs and ending the war in Ukraine. The Vatican says Pope Francis continues to improve as he battles pneumonia. Officials say today he received oxygen therapy and also met with aides. Police in New Mexico say they are investigating the deaths of award-winning actor Gene Hackman, his wife, and one of their dogs, found at their home near Santa Fe. Both authorities say were found in different rooms and appeared to be dead for some time. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Times, 12:31.
Happening moments ago at a Milwaukee courtroom.
I'm finding the city of Milwaukee in contempt of my prior order. I'm fining them $1,000 a day starting today. I am going to temporarily stay that order of contempt. I'm going to stay it at the request of the city until approximately 2 weeks from now, March 15th.
Judge Borowski finds the city of Milwaukee in contempt for not having student resource officers in Milwaukee public schools by today's deadline. His stay for the fines comes with 3 conditions. The Common Council must approve the funding for SROs, provide the names of the officers assigned and the schools being assigned to, and proof of training either completed or scheduled for those officers. The judge rules MPS is in compliance with his order based on their unanimous approval for the funding of the SROs. MPS says it stands ready to implement the school resource officer program as soon as officers are made available to the district.
In other news we're following, a former Milwaukee city attorney is pleading not guilty and heading for trial. Tierman Spencer alleged to have used his public position to gain a dishonest advantage in a dispute with the Department of Neighborhood Services over a facility where his cars were stored on the city's north side. Tierman charged with felony misconduct while in office and obstructing an officer. His attorney tried to get the case dismissed, but the judge disagreed on Wednesday. He'll be back in court this April. If convicted, Spencer could face more than 4 years in prison.
Bedbugs, no heat, angry residents, and now another issue for Milwaukee's embattled housing authority. Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson planning to name Ramona Ramos to fill a vacant HACM board seat, but Ramos withdrew her name from consideration on Wednesday. Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel reports Mayor Johnson blames advocacy group Common Ground for Ramos for withdrawing her name and contributing to the dysfunction of the board. Earlier this week, the group sent a letter signed by more than 300 residents to Mayor Johnson's office expressing its frustration with his nomination choice.
Police in Greendale still searching for a driver who sideswiped one of their squads happening Tuesday evening near Loomis and Grange during a traffic stop. Police are looking for a gray Toyota Tundra or Tacoma pickup truck, that is, the plastic housing of its passenger side mirror gone. The officer and the person seated in the rear seat of the struck squad were not hurt.
Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 12:34.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here for QC Kinetics. You know, I get a lot of questions about QC Kinetics treatments, people asking if they should consider it for their own joint pain. Well, here's how you know. If you answer yes to any of these questions. Is your quality of life impacted by chronic pain in your knees or hips or shoulders or other joints, trouble sleeping or walking? Do you want to avoid surgery, a long recovery, and uncertainty that comes with it? And most importantly, do you miss doing the things you love because joint pain is holding you back? If you answered yes to any of these questions, don't wait. Call now. Call QC Kinetics and ask for your free consultation and learn how the latest advances in regenerative medicine can help you get lasting relief. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. 414-285-3474. Call QC Kinetics today for your free consultation. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. Call QC Kinetics today.
Namaste.
Dan, what are you doing?
Shh, you're harshing my mellow. Join me in some breathing exercises to chase away the chaos.
Let's focus on our clients since we offer an exceptional way to control the chaos.
Inspired Closets can more than double your closet storage space.
And we don't over-design projects, sending you 3 beautiful designs to fit your price point.
Plus, our true lifetime warranty makes it a no-brainer.
Get started today at InspiredClosetsMilwaukee.com.
Inspired Closets.
A wife and husband team.
Hi, this is Nate from Best Electric. We are a second-generation, family-owned and operated and based in West Dallas. Our motto is no job is too big or too small, and we stand by our work. Have you been thinking about buying a new electric car or truck? We can handle the installation of your charging equipment with ease. Have problems with ice damming on your roof? We have a solution with the installation of our roof de-icing cable. We are always happy to provide free estimates. Connect with the best. Visit bestelect.com today.
You can accomplish quite a lot in 6 years. You go from changing diapers to dropping your child off at school. You can get a bachelor's and a master's degree. And you can take up to 6 years to pay off your brand new Pella windows and doors at 0% interest. You get so much more than stunning windows and doors. It's the Pella experience. Talk about quality control. Pella manufactures, sells, installs, and services every product. Set your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Ends 3/8/25.
Time for WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. The Cactus League continues for the Brewers today against the Royals. The Bucks are on the home floor tonight, taking on the Nuggets. Coverage begins following the 6 o'clock news on WTMJ. And Bucks Insiders coming up, sponsored by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and Best Electric.
Checking over the roads now, your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. This might be in the Wisconsin's Midday News Hall of Fame for midday traffic report days. It has been excellent all day on the system. Very few incidents, and what they were minor. Right now, nothing on the board. Lots of green, full freeway speeds.
Your official forecast from our partners at TMJ4 call for an isolated shower and the possibility of wet snowflakes, as opposed to the dry ones, which also apparently fall from time to time.
I've heard.
Mostly cloudy and breezy today, a high of 43 degrees. Mostly cloudy tonight, a low of 30. Partly sunny on Friday. Very windy, though. It's going to be gusty, up to 40 miles an hour. Mild temperatures and a high of 51. Sun on Saturday, a high of 30. Sun on Sunday and a high of 34. Clouds return with warmer temperatures on Monday and a high of 43. 41 and cloudy in Milwaukee at 12:37.
Your all-you-need-to-know segment, centered around the Milwaukee Bucks.
The long wait has ended. After a half-century, the Milwaukee Bucks are NBA champions once again.
It's Bucks Insiders, every Thursday at 12:35. Sponsored by Best Electric and Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
Hey, quick nugget here before we get to Justin Garcia, who is not only the studio host for Bucks pre- and post-game, but he sits alongside Dave Kane for home games. He'll be near courtside tonight as the Bucks take on the Denver Nuggets. But Finalysis Live is coming back to Potawatomi Casino Hotel in Milwaukee, just announced today. Here's the date, March 29th at 6:30. This is a ticketed event. If you want to be a part of it, just text the word Bucks to our talk and text line, 855-616-1620. It's year number 2. This was an absolute blast in year number 1. Thanasis on stage, essentially interviewing his brother Giannis, which I thought was an amazing sort of dynamic, the back and forth they have. You'd think there are no secrets between the two, but there are, apparently. But a very entertaining night, and it should be great here in year number 2. Text the word Bucks to 855-616-1620. We'll send you the info to your mobile device.
And you never know what can happen. Remember, Stephen A. showed up unannounced to most people last year, so you never know.
Yeah, so it'll be a great production, no doubt about that, with our friends at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Should be a fun one tonight. The Bucks welcome in the Nuggets. They'll face the Nuggets twice before the season ends, and now you're talking about perennial MVP candidates back on the floor against one another in Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo. We welcome in Justin Garcia. Hey, Justin.
Hey, Greg.
I think it underscores a further point. I was looking at the Bucks' schedule from here on out before the playoffs begin. There ain't nothing easy about it, and it continues tonight with a very talented Nuggets team.
Fifth most difficult schedule left in the league. It is far and away the most challenging in the Eastern Conference, especially for any playoff team. So, yeah, the games that you have against sub-500 opponents are few and far between. Those are going to be very important. And games like the loss to the Rockets just the other night, too, that's going to be the challenge is when you're in a game, you kind of have to win those games that you're in with what's in front of you here.
Justin, we're 3 weeks removed now from the trade deadline with the playoffs now in people's mirror looking forward. When you look at guys like KPJ, Kyle Kuzma, we've got a few weeks now to kind of gauge how they're improving and helping out this squad. What deficiencies from past playoff teams do you think these two will help shore up?
Well, I think they've undoubtedly helped the defense quite a bit, and especially with Kyle Kuzma, that's what's jumped off the page immediately. Kevin Porter Jr. has given you some of that too, especially on some of the point-of-attack players. We've seen other guys that the Bucks have tried to contain point guards and shooting guards that haven't, quite frankly, been up to the task. Kevin Porter Jr. has given you that in spurts, and he's also given you more of an unorthodox offensive approach, but just a scorer off the bench, which has been helpful. I think overall it's been a good trade for the Bucks, but the thing that you're still searching for is, frankly, something we knew Chris Middleton could provide, and that's steady half-court scoring. That's really been the issue for the Bucks season long, and especially in these 3 weeks since the trade.
So, Justin, the Bucks are in a position right now where they're right there for the number 4 seed potentially. They're in the number 5 spot. The number 6 seed is right on their heels, I think tied right now in terms of number of wins. How much does seeding matter? To what point does it not matter to the Bucks? What are they trying to accomplish over their next 25 games or so?
Yeah, I don't know how much it does. I mean, look, it would be great to finish 4th and have home court advantage in the first round. I do think, I don't know that the Bucks would admit this, but I do think it's pretty clear 4 is probably the ceiling for this group. It's 5 games in the loss column back of the Knicks. You don't have the tiebreaker, so you got to outplay the Knicks by 6 games in your final 25. So it's going to be somewhere in the 4 through 6 range. Pistons, as you mentioned, just are seemingly never going to lose again, and they're just a game back. Health is obviously the biggest part there. That it hasn't been on the Bucks side in the past few playoffs. And even things like that game against the Houston Rockets, where I know they only scored 12 points in the fourth quarter. A lot of fans were quick to point to the minutes you had with no Giannis or no Damian Lillard. I do think that's a good sign for this group because it just shows, I think they agree. Look, we know this is the area we're going to be in. The most important part is health. We're not going to sacrifice that and push Giannis during the regular season just so we could win a game in February against the Houston Rockets if that may cost us as we lead into the playoffs.
You mentioned health, Justin. Do we have an update on Pat Connaughton and his calf situation? Now, I know he comes primarily off the bench as a shooting guard, but still has been dealing with this for a while. Sounds like he's out tonight.
Yeah, I don't know how significant it is. It didn't sound too optimistic. Doc Rivers didn't sound too optimistic when he gave the update, and even said Pat himself has experienced this injury before. and kind of knew as it happened in the game, this is what it is, and made it sound like it's going to be some time before he's available to rejoin the team. But as you mentioned, he was already, I don't want to say a breaking case of emergency guy, because he had given the Bucs some nice moments this season, but he was already down there on the depth chart. And the moves that you made, too, to bring in players like Kevin Porter Jr. and Kyle Kuzma kind of pushed back his role. Even Andre Jackson Jr. has been basically tossed out of the rotation since the trade deadline.
The interesting one to watch tonight with Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo. A lot of MVPs among those two players on the floor. The Nuggets in town. Justin will be alongside Dave Kane for the broadcast tonight. Our coverage gets underway at 6. Appreciate it, Justin. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, see you guys.
Appreciate it. Bucks Insider, sponsored by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and Best Electric Services.
Abbey Windows.
Is your bathroom stuck in the 90s? Sick of looking at that pink and brass? Then it's time for an upgrade. Abbey Home can customize a new tub or shower conversion just for you. If you like the look of tile, but don't want the maintenance and issues that come with it, we're your perfect fit. We pull all the permits, take it down to the studs, and get you a whole new look in 2 days. Go to myabbeyhome.com to learn more. Right now, get 0% interest for 24 months and get 20% off your project. If somebody asks you if you know a guy in the business, you can say no, but I know a girl.
Hey, want to get you down to Potawatomi Casino to check out all that's new. Check out Thanalysis on March 29th. That's going to be a great time. Text the word Bucks to 855-616-1620. We'll send you details back to your mobile device. But we know what's coming here, right? About to flip the calendar to March. We know what sport really heats up in the month of March. That's right, college basketball. And the place to hang out, to watch all the games is Potawatomi Sportsbook. 2,000 square foot video wall with multiple games happening at the same time. It is the place to be, right? Don't worry about trying to conjure up a system at home to sort of make it work. Go where they're going to feed you, get a nice cold drink. You'll settle in with the kiosks. You'll have a great time. It's Potawatomi Sportsbook. Great drink specials. It's a basketball fan's paradise. Hope to see you there. Bet above the rest at Potawatomi.
Buy one pizza today, get a second pizza free at the Amazing Mineshaft restaurant in Hartford and in Oshkosh. Don't cook, don't even think about it. You don't need to clean up either. Call, order, and pick up shortly, or just walk in for your free Thursday pizza, mineshaft.restaurant.com.
If you're living with joint pain in your shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees, and you have Medicare or Medicaid insurance, coming to Rejuvenex to solve your pain problems is something you should strongly consider. First off, because our FDA-approved pain treatments have been shown in many cases to be highly effective at reducing inflammation and substantially alleviating pain. Secondly, Medicare and Medicaid cover Rejuvenex treatments, so your cost could be nothing, or next to nothing at all. Chronic pain will only worsen with age. This leads to a far more compromised lifestyle, depression, and soon they start talking surgery. And then what? You have to get in front of arthritis and chronic pain, because the sooner you do, by letting us begin to calm those pain points, the better. I'm Rejuvenex founder Richard Salinas, and we can alleviate your pain so you can rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain. Rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your free pain evaluation.
What we've found is that when you have workers who feel valued, you get better results. This is why good people and good culture should matter to anyone looking for an exterior remodeling company they can trust. It's going to be your experience and the end result that gives you peace of mind, because you'll know your work was done by people who care. We realized early on that if we were going to change the reputation of this industry for the better, that finding good workers that you could trust to do great work was going to be the key. We're attracting good people every day because we take care of our people. We want to make sure they feel important, because they are. And we're going to make sure you feel important and valued too, with excellent customer service and high quality work. This is Brad Youngbluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Well, the band is back together. Happy to be sitting in studio with my good friend, and I mean that sincerely. It's John Mercure. Hey, big guy.
Hey, I appreciate that. You're one of my best friends here at work.
Well, I love having you in studio. It's always a great time to catch up and hang out. But also wanted to shed light on something you guys are doing later today on Wisconsin's Afternoon News. You and Julia Fellow are dedicating a full hour to your program to something very important, not only in the month of February, although it's when we bring light to it, but something very important in today's world.
It is. It's, an hour dedicated to life as a black citizen in Milwaukee is the easiest way to put it. And I'll tell you a little bit about some of the elements, but Greg, I'm super excited because a guy and I know we both really respect, Derek Mosley, is going to be with us in the studio for the whole hour. Former retired municipal judge, a patriot, a proud Milwaukeean, a guy who's really attuned to this. He's going to be with us the whole hour, kind of guiding us through this discussion. And I don't know if you've checked out Derek Mosley's social media, but during Black History Month, every day he posts a really cool little fact, a really cool little story or anecdote. So we thought he'd be perfect to hop in the studio and kind of have this discussion with us.
One of the things he is going to mention, and I've heard him mention this before, is that, yes, we celebrate African American history, Black History Month. He will say this is American history. This is part of American history that you just need to understand in a variety of facets of life. He unearths these incredibly impactful stories.
That's such a good point because, we all know the story of Rosa Parks here in Milwaukee. We all know Val Phillips. We all know the Supreme Court justices. But Derek Mosley has a way, and Greg, to your point, it's not just national obscure people from San Francisco that became a common council member. He has stories here from Milwaukee and from Wisconsin, and he's so articulate, and he's such a really good guy. I was on an honor flight with Derek Mosley where he was a guardian for a veteran, and to watch Derek Mosley care for this veteran and his servant's heart on that day just took me to a whole new level of respect for him, and he does everything 1,000%. So when he comes in, the stories he'll have, the anecdotes he has, and some of it's personal and some of it's stuff that he's done a lot of work in. So he'll be with us kind of guiding the discussion. It's a really special treat for us. We kind of threw it out there that we were going to go for the best guy we could figure, and he's so busy that we didn't know if it would happen, but he'll be with us from 3 to 4 on Thursday.
He's usually doing 20-plus different speeches throughout the course of Black History Month, but he is such an incredible storyteller. I don't know if you could have handpicked a better person. He's got a magnetism about him, and you want to listen when he speaks, so that's a perfect fit.
One of the things that I know he wants to dive into is redlining. So redlining is a practice that took place in most American cities during the 50s and the 60s, where if you were black, they made it almost impossible to buy property in some areas, and it was racist. It was a terrible thing, and it happened everywhere as we went into the civil rights movement. It happened here in Milwaukee, and some would argue that based on the economics of situations, it's still happening. And he talks about things in a way that's not inflammatory. It's not throwing, fire bombs and seeing what he can blow up. No, it's a considerate, thoughtful conversation. So redlining is one of the topics that we will dive into. Also on the show, kind of related to that, is the Great Migration. So the Great Migration is when folks from the South came to places like Cleveland and Detroit and Milwaukee. And they came here and they settled here, and from Mississippi is where a lot of the folks in Milwaukee ended up coming from. So the Great Migration, we'll look at that. Julia Fellows putting together a big fat feature on that, and Mosley will be part of that conversation as well.
It's a great idea. Great thought. So that's from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock this afternoon in Wisconsin's Afternoon News.
Yep, 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. A couple other little features we'll have on the show. The MLK statue, which is in Milwaukee. The sculptor of that statue is still alive, so we're going to feature him, do something on him. And also, black veterans, what are the issues they face that are different than their white brothers and sisters? And there are some. A decorated combat vet, a guy I absolutely adore named Al Flowers, is going to join us. He went to Vietnam. He had a really hard time. PTSD, survivor's guilt, names of lots of his brothers on that wall in Washington, D.C., and has now spent the last 50 years helping other veterans as they battle the things that veterans battle through. So I'll feature Al Flowers in a big piece that I'm doing. It's really going to be, Greg, a combination of celebrating the things that are so great in our city and taking a deeper dive on the things that are a little bit painful.
Which you have to do. Right? I mean, that is culture. That is culture. Yep. Regardless of the race and gender you are, that is a piece of culture. Surviving, thriving, finding ways to move forward.
You said it perfect. That's the whole thing, right? I mean, we have to do both of it. So we'll do that from 3 to 4 this afternoon. It's going to be a great hour. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I don't know how you're going to pack it all into an hour, but you're a pro and you'll always find a way to do it. Check it out. John and Julia, Wisconsin's Afternoon News. Featured guest Derek Mosley. Some great stories to be told along the way. I really appreciate it, John. Thank you.
I appreciate you making time for me. Thanks, Greg.
Great to have you on.
The Upswing with Jeff Sherman.
What are you seeing in terms of availability and pricing, and has it impacted your poke restaurants?
Egg prices have been crazy right now. I've talked to a couple of our vendors, and they were joking at we're entering at this time in the market, and I think things will level out in the next month or 1 to 3 months. I think by the time we open, it should be somewhat leveled out, and we'll figure it out.
Weekdays from 10 to 11 on WTMJ. Presented by Horicon Bank, the natural choice for all your banking needs.
Look what I found.
What is it?
It's a list of the traditional and modern anniversary gifts for each year of marriage.
Sarah and I use a different list. But go ahead and tell us about yours.
The traditional gift for your first anniversary is paper, but the modern gift is a clock.
Well, our list says the first anniversary is always diamond jewelry.
What's your list called?
The People's Choice.
The traditional gift for your 6th anniversary is iron, but the modern gift is wood.
What a coincidence. For the 6th anniversary, our list says diamonds again. What do you have for the 10th anniversary, Rick?
Traditional is aluminum, modern is diamond jewelry.
Well, there you go. Our lists agree. What have you got for the 7th anniversary?
Copper and a desk set.
Nope. Diamonds again.
I'm beginning to see the wisdom of the People's Choice list.
It's good to have you on board.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Did you make up that People's Choice list, or is it real?
Well, we're people, aren't we?
Find the Kesslers nearest you at KesslersDiamonds.com.
Debbie Loziga here for Kohler Services. If you've been putting off your bath or shower remodel, now's the time to turn to Kohler Services. Family owned for 150 years, Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer providing care for life. This month only, get 0 interest financing for 12 months and a free shower door with your Luxtone shower remodel. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote with fast professional installation always included. That's KohlerServicesWI.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Some peaks of sun, primarily cloudy, however, today. Breezy and a high of 43 degrees, overnight low of 30, up to 52, very windy on Friday. We cool off on Saturday and Sunday with temperatures in the 30s. Monday's high 43. 41 and cloudy in Milwaukee at 12:55. Wrapping up Wisconsin's Midday News on a Thursday. Adam in for Jessica, Greg in for Greg. They're digging into the home here of Gene Hackman. So a search warrant reveals new information about the death of Hackman, 95 years old, legendary actor. He and his 63-year-old wife, Betsy Arakawa, and one of their dogs were found dead in their New Mexico home late on Wednesday. The warrant says the couple and the dog had been dead for some time, maybe even multiple weeks. It appears the deaths are being investigated now as suspicious.
They found a female, Betsy Arakawa, on the ground near a countertop in a bathroom. There was a space heater near her head. There was an open pill bottle with pills scattered on the countertop there. They found a dead German Shepherd dog near Arakawa. And then in a mudroom, they found Gene Hackman. It appeared he had suddenly fallen, they say, that his sunglasses were near him. But there were other dogs that were alive on the property, and everything else was locked and secured.
Initial thought, Adam, was maybe that this was some sort of carbon monoxide leak. But now that detectives and maintenance workers have been on the property, they don't believe this was the case. They don't think it was a carbon monoxide issue that caused the death of Gene Hackman, his wife, and one of their dogs. That's a key point here. One of the dogs. Mm-hmm. Other dogs were found alive at the property.
And this all was set off by a welfare check as well that was conducted yesterday. This home of theirs it's in a gated community. It's up on a hill. It's not exactly the easiest to keep an eye on your neighbor. And obviously a guy like Gene Hackman, you'll know if he's walking around. So the fact that this was pretty much all set off by this welfare check is pretty amazing.
Could be weeks until you've got a full autopsy, and this kind of stuff takes time, no doubt. If it was a carbon monoxide leak or other gas, which the gas company has responded to, and they're helping out investigators, you'd likely know that by now. But they found no signs of any gas leak. If there had been one weeks before and the door had been left open, which it was found to be open when investigators arrived, that gas likely would have escaped, is what authorities are saying. So kind of a confusing story and more answers to come. But at this point, many questions. Gene Hackman dead at the age of 95. If you want to take us with you wherever you go, subscribe to the Wisconsin's Midday News podcast. It's built by Siding Unlimited. Take us with you wherever you go. Gina's got 95% of the show already podcasted. She does a great job with that. Anything you may have missed, you can find it. The Wisconsin's Midday News podcast. Text the word Midday to 855-616-1620. We'll get you all set up. News coming up.
I've always believed that great service makes all the difference. At Waterstone Bank, it's more than just banking. It's personal. When I needed help choosing an account, my banker took the time to understand my needs and guided me through my options. Thanks to her advice, I can watch my money grow, knowing it's secure.
Welcome.